We're here again with Ron Herzman, professor of the Humanities, and uh, in addition to some stuff we've already talked about, which was kind of broader themes in the arc of the Western Humanities, we want to take just a moment to do a deep dive into one thing, and so we wanted to focus in on Dante, okay, the medieval Italian poet who wrote the Commedia, or in English we know it as the Divine Comedy. This particular story is really good for the environmental humanities on many levels, but on its most basic level, it is the greatest hiking adventure of all time. Okay, because this city boy, okay, from Florence, Italy, gets lost in the woods, and he hikes down to the bottom of hell. He crawls through the middle of the earth. And then he hikes up a mountain, okay, and then ends up traveling all the way into the heavens, and then comes all the way back to his city of Florence to tell everyone about the adventure. All of us here in the environmental world knows we know what that's kind of like. Okay, we like to take hiking adventures and come home and tell people about it. But of course Dante's journey is a profound one of not only self discovery but also commenting on the political strife of his own city, and some of the biggest, most enduring questions of the humanities. So what we're going to do right now, in just the short time we have together, is to take sort of a microscopic focus on one little part of Inferno. Okay, Dante's trip through hell, the first of those three places: hell, purgatory, and heaven, and see how Dante uses these environmental images to help understand bigger issues.
So, just a little bit context beyond what Glenn has said to locate where we are in the Inferno. Deeper down, the more serious the sin. We're down pretty deep with the thieves. It turns out that there are 9 circles, or 9 levels, and we're in level 8 and pretty far down. So we're dealing with some really serious issues. Dante has, throughout the Inferno, had a guide, the Roman poet Virgil, a good guide because his own poem dealt with that same kind of underworld trip, and because there was a kind of legend in the Middle Ages that Virgil himself had taken a trip down there. So Virgil is Dante's guide and teacher, and like most good guides and most good teachers, his obligation is not only to give Dante a pat on the back when he's doing something right, but also to chastise him when he does something wrong. And we're picking it up after it seems pretty clear that Virgil is a little bit ticked off at Dante, all right? And if you keep that in mind, this very elaborate comparison that the poet makes using the natural world will begin to make some sense. It's a very interesting passage, and I want to just first read it to you and then kind of pick it apart to show, number one, the extraordinary familiarity that the poet has with nature, and also, of course, nature's importance to the human world, the way in which, we need to pay really close attention in order to get our food, just for one obvious thing, and to see that Dante is able to use that to make a very interesting comparison to the situation where Virgil is mad at him, but only very, very temporarily. All right? So that's the situation that we're dealing with. In the part of the youthful year when the sun tempers its locks under Aquarius, and already the nights are moving south. Talk about the time. It's starting to get a little bit warmer here, all right? When on the ground, the frost copies the image of her white sister, but her pen retains its temper only briefly. The peasant, his provisions running short, rises to look and sees the field all white, and he strikes his thigh, goes back into the house and complains here and there, like a wretch who knows not what to do. He goes forth again and stores hope in his wicker basket again, seeing the face of the world has changed in a short time. And he takes his crook and drives the little sheep forth to pasture. So, my master, that would be Virgil, of course, made me, Dante, lose confidence when I saw his brow so clouded. Just as quickly he applied the plaster to the wound. Right? That last part is basically saying Virgil was mad at me, only lasted for a second. But notice how incredibly elaborate the lead-up to that is. The lead-up says this, right? The peasant looks out and gets very, very discouraged because he thinks that there is snow on the ground. Turns out that the snow is only frost, disappears, and instead of sort of going back into the house being grumpy because there's nothing to do, he's able to go out and do his thing, dealing with the land. Okay, but the image that Dante uses is really interesting to describe the difference between frost and snow. Right? When on the ground, the frost copies the image of her white sister, but her pen retains its temper only briefly. The frost is imitating snow. In other words, the peasant comes out, looks like snow to me, but it's only imitation snow. Okay? But notice that Dante conveys that by suggesting that nature itself, or nature herself, is an artist. All right? The first copies, the frost copies the image of her white sister. The artist is portraying, the artist, Frost, is doing a portrait of her sister, Snow, but her pen retains its temper only briefly. In other words, maybe one way of looking at it is that Frost is sort of drawing the outline of the picture, Snow is the entire whole painting. But the fact that in this image, he's able to do this by presenting nature itself as an artist, right? And so what happens is that the lesson of the artist for the peasant who's able to go out and do his thing is clear. The fact that Dante feels comfortable using this as an as a really great analogy for talking about what expression he's reading on the face of Virgil. Right? The face of Virgil looks like snow. It turns out only to be frost. In other words, it looks like I am permanently ticked off at you, Dante. You screwed up again. But in fact, Virgil, as he is throughout the Inferno and the Purgatory, very quick to forgive, very quick to go on and to the next step. But this extraordinarily drawn out simile is a way of saying that, once again, some of the best ways of talking about the human world turn out to be drawn from the world of nature, and it's able to do this by giving nature itself the characteristics of an artist. Right? Snow is the whole picture. Frost is just the pen and ink drawing. To do that, you've got to know an awful lot about nature, and you also got to know a good deal about art. And you got to know that there's a kind of reciprocity between nature and art that Dante draws out here. Now, this is, a particularly complicated version of the sort of thing that I'm trying to say here. That is to say that the natural world is incorporated into poetry in such a wide variety of ways, almost all of them, once again, making the major point here that there's no total separation between the world of nature and the human world, including the world of man as creator, humans as creator. Okay, So I think that that's a really interesting example that can stand for the kind of thing that you can do, given that you have such a close observational skill, okay, that you're able to really see what's going on there, and of course, helps to be a really great artist the way Dante is, but by having a kind of ready-made set of analogies already there for you. In other words, knowing that it's okay to bring all of these things together in a single comparison. Okay, does that sort of give us a general picture here?
Yeah, I think it gives us more than a general picture. It gives us a really vivid snapshot, okay, of what Dante can give the modern hiker.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because as folks who go out and hike and paddle and get out into natural spaces,
Sure.
What we're often doing is first escaping the stress of our sort of human built life and structures and computer stuff and bills and all those kind of stresses, right? It's easy for us to say we're going to take a hike and to escape something, right? But I think that what the environmental humanities is doing and what Dante does for us is invite us to engage, and not just escape, okay, but to have that dialogue with the natural space and to pay close attention to these metaphors.
Yeah, that Dante's saying is I'm able to read nature at such a deep level that I can bring these metaphors in to also, get the reader to experience it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course in this wonderful example where the frost and the snow is a window of understanding the actions of Dante's guide and mentor. What we're also seeing here is that Dante is seeing nature in the human that is his guide, and the human is also reflecting that nature in his face and in his actions. So again, there's that marvelous dialogue between humans and the natural world.
And it might even help as a kind of footnote to say that Dante's guide, Virgil, was one of the great poets of the natural world. And his ability to describe it, Dante knew Virgil's work most intimately, and he's able to, there are all kinds of places in the poem where he's taking advantage of that particular skill of Virgil's.
Well, I'm hoping for two outcomes of our talk today. Okay, one is that I hope all of you hikers and paddlers out there, okay, you run right out and get some copies of Dante and start reading. But also, all of you humanities professors out there, all of you Dante scholars, go hiking, go paddling, okay, and have that experience that is so deeply embedded in this passage that Ron opened up for us today. So thank you.
Thank you.